Hello everyone, I'm sorry about the lighting in this car, but I just had a quick word of encouragement for everybody. I know I'm not in my particular spot because me and my sister, we were just having a conversation, and I thought it was just such a good conversation that I should let you all know kind of part of what we were talking about, and we can use that as something to just strengthen you today on this beautiful Saturday. So hello, for all of you who don't know me, my name is LaQuinta Obedi. This is Bold and True in Christ. On this channel, we pour back into our members with prayers, teachings, and testimonies in order to strengthen them when they're in their wilderness seasons, their valley seasons, when they're suffering spiritual attack or spiritual warfare. I am your prayer partner on this journey as we walk the walk of faith and boldness and truth. If you have any prayer requests, please feel free to email me at obedilaquinta@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to pray for you, okay? And so, real quick word of encouragement. I just want you all to be encouraged that God is working behind the scenes. He is doing things in our life that we may not be aware of. And although right now, in some of our wilderness seasons, we may feel, it may look bleak, we may feel like there's just nothing moving for us, right? But one of the things that I was talking to my sister about, we were having a conversation on, where we are at in life and expectations that we, want to see in the future versus reality right now. And so a lot of us have become jaded in our way of thinking, like, Lord, it might not be for me, or I don't want this situation to happen in my life because of what I've seen or how I've seen it play out in other people's lives. So I'd rather just not even worry about it or even put myself in these types of situations so that I don't have to worry about feeling like a lot of other people do. For instance, like relationships, right? A lot of us have become jaded, and it could be relationships for anything. When it comes to family, when it comes to significant others or spouses or partnerships for business or anything. A lot of us have been in places where we have seen people fail over and over and over again. And so we have kind of placed in our mind unintentionally that, because that is the norm and that's what we see, then that's what will probably happen in our lives. But the thing is, that's assumptions. That's not reality. And so it goes back to guarding your mind and guarding your thoughts when you start having these thoughts or interactions with the way you're feeling about something or someone, right? Like, let me not give this a try because I feel like I'm going to fail at it. Let me not start this podcast because I don't think that I'm going to do so good because this many podcasts have failed. It could be anything, right? And so I just want to remind you, I was having a conversation with a doctor that I had. I was getting my gallbladder removed. And when I talked to him about the things that I was seeing on the internet about people losing their gallbladder, I was just concerned because a lot of the, what are they called when you put them on the, forms of stuff, or like complaints, I guess. A lot of them with the complaints, there was a lot of complaints under certain doctors and stuff, or like forums about gallbladder removal surgery, how it feels, how it looks, how it hurts, how they've life been miserable. And so it put me off because I was talking to the doctor. I was like, I'm in a lot of pain now, but at the same time, I don't want my gallbladder removed because people said it has been even worse when they get their gallbladder removed. And so he was telling me, he said, look at it like this. He said, most people who have had successful surgery, they're not going to go online and complain about or even praise the fact that they had a good surgery because they're out living their life. They're out there doing good. And so there's no need for them to go rate a doctor or say anything online about how their surgery went because they're doing well. He said, if you go online, most of the things you are going to see are negative comments because their surgeries didn't go well, and because they're displeased, you're quicker to go online and berate or talk about the doctor or the provider or the procedure because it didn't work out in your favor. So you're going to see that a lot more. And so another example for y'all to look at is this. It's like when you have let's say you go to a restaurant and your food is amazing. I know a lot of y'all have had waiters or like people in fast food restaurants give you a receipt and say, rate our service, tell us how we did, just leave good comments for us because it helps us out. A lot of us don't go and do those surveys. A lot of us don't go and tell how good the food was or how good the waiter was because we're either too busy, we're out living life. And so we could have very well enjoyed the meal, but because we've enjoyed it and we went on, we don't go do those surveys a lot. Sometimes we might do it because I do like like to do, the survey sometime. But I'm just saying, in reality, we don't do that often. But say you got a really bad meal and then the customer service was absolutely horrible. More than likely, you're going to go and rate that restaurant horribly. And you're going to be like, this just was not good. The waiter was very crappy. They were unprofessional. And you're going to see a lot more dislikes for what has happened, because they're going to be quick, or you're going to be quick to go say how much you were dissatisfied versus how much you were satisfied. That's just how people are. We are quick to complain, but we don't really pay attention to the blessings God is doing in our lives, and we don't pay attention to the small victories. So I say that to say this: we have to start focusing on the fact that reality is not always what it seems. Okay, on social media, people like to put out negative stuff because that's what draws attention. So you see all these relationship breakups and heartaches and heartbreaks. And this is outside of the fact of the people who actually put happy relationship or relationship goal pictures up, because these people are also not always necessarily telling the truth of what's happening behind the scenes in these relationships. A lot of them just want to look like things are going good when they're really not. Now, some of them, we're not going to say that's the case for everybody. So let me just make that disclaimer. But people who are in really happy, committed relationships are not always 24/7 posting on social media about all the places they've been, all the trips that they've taken, all this money that they have, all this, stuff that's happening in their relationships. Real happy, genuinely happy people are not always displaying these things on social media. You might see a couple date here or a couple pictures here, but you're not going to see a whole plethora of things that are going great in people's lives. But you're going to be quick to go on social media and see what some people are arguing about, a breakup or a split, right? And so that, because what is thrown out there, what is gaining our attention, causes us to think a certain way. It changes our way and our mindsets of thinking, right? And so because you're seeing more negative stuff put out, you can unconsciously become jaded by all these things, like, oh, okay, 90% of black men and black women don't get along, or, I'm just using that as an example. Because, you'll see these red pill podcasts about how black men don't like black women, or, all these podcasts where, I'm a strong individual woman. We don't need no man. We are decentering men and all this other stuff. And because it seemed like that's at the forefront, we start automatically feeling like that should be the case, and that's what's going on. There's no real good men out there. There's no real good jobs out there. There's no real good relationships out there, and family members and families out there. There's no reason for me to start a podcast on this or start a YouTube channel on this, because there's so many people already in that, niche, or they're not doing good in it. It could be a whole bunch of things we tell ourselves, and this just may not be true. So all of that to say, we need to start focusing on who God is and what God is telling us, okay? Everything that we see is not reality. Everything that we are told to believe and programmed to believe is not reality either. God is a good God. He is a just God. And if he says he's going to do something, chances are, not even chances, the truth is he's just going to do it. Now, it may not look like how we want it to look, right? But the fact of the matter is he's going to do it. And we need to start changing our mindsets about what God has for us, because at the end of the day, his purpose is for good in our life, and to make good on his promises. So we have to start being aware of who he is, how our lives are meant to be blessed. Yeah, we're going to suffer things, because that's just the reality of life. But in the grand scheme and in the big scope of things, God wants us to truly see how beautiful life with him is, and how beautiful life can be for us when we put him first and we center him in our story, in our journey, in our wilderness. When things are going good, it doesn't really matter. We have to start thinking about, oh, because this situation went wrong, or these people's situation went like this, or it took 8 years for her situation to come to fulfillment, or like, our stories are always going to be different. So stop comparing yourself and your situation and your beliefs to what you see, because you don't know what God is doing in your life. And with that being said, I hope this encouraged y'all to just know God cares about us. He loves us. And we're not supposed to focus on all that other stuff. That's just busy distractions, okay? I love you all with the love of Christ. I hope y'all just take this with you, and I hope y'all be encouraged from it. With that being said, I love y'all. Bye-bye. Have a good day. And remember to love on God because he first loved you. Bye-bye.